Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we are actually at the Air Force Academy in Colorado, and I've got a couple things different. Number one is that we are running the Cessna style throttle quadrant. Number two is that we are going to do some touch and go practice on some pretty small runways. Hopefully the cloud cover's not here. Last time I tried doing this there was no pattern space because, well, cloud cover. So here goes. Brakes on. Flaps down 1. Flight controls check. We are good. We are going to go full power. I'm going to play with the mixture a little bit. We're going to find where that optimal is. We passed it right there. Brakes off. Trying to keep her straight. Going back on the throttle in case we have to do a rejected takeoff. There's 40 knots. 50. 60. And pulling back. We are off the ground. A little bit of crabbing. Pushing over for speed. There is 70 knots. Flaps coming up. There goes the nose. Now we're gonna climb. We're gonna go for 700 feet a minute and make right high in traffic. Sit up here like we would in the real world. Current heading is roughly 340. We're gonna note that. Not going to pull too hard. This is in no way a procedural turn. But we're going to make that right. Now the airport's at 6,100 feet, so we're going to level off. That's 7,000 for pattern altitude. Keep her about 80 knots. Try and do our best to keep her coordinated. We should probably be doing procedural turns, or not though. There's roughly our reciprocal. There is a bit of a crosswind, but not too bad. A little more throttle, a little bit down. Do. We are pretty stable in the pattern. Now, we're looking for... we're off the end of the runway. We're going to pull power out a little bit, not much. We're going to start a 200 to 300 feet per minute descent. Gaining 80 knots. There's about a 45 degree, I'm guessing. We come out of this. We should be roughly, very roughly, lined up. Yeah, because there's the field. That is the left runway. We're a bit high. We're a bit left. Pulling out the power. Flaps are coming down 1. There was some speed we just lost. Getting into a slip, we got to lose some speed. We were really high, turned a little early, and we did not come down anywhere near enough. We're going to do a touch and go. Get out of the slip. We're really long, which is why this is a touch and go. Also a little fast. There we go. Here's our touch, adding full power. Degrees nose up. We'll do our fun little short field takeoff. And there's 70 knots. Flaps coming up. And we're going to maintain 80 knots in the climb. Might. Climb to pattern altitude. 75 is good. I think 68 actually the ideal climb speed with flaps 1? I don't remember. Alright, there's 800 above field. We're going to do a 2-minute turn. Means we're going to turn for 30 seconds, continuing our climb. The gear don't come up, unfortunately. There is 7,000. Leveling off. Wearing up a little bit, pulling power. Not all the way, but just a little. Now we are level. We got a small crosswind. Making our turn for the pattern. Maintaining altitude. The ideal altitude is 7,100. Not quite maintaining that 2-minute IFR turn. Alright, we're a little further out. That's good. We're at the right altitude. That is also good. We're a little fast though. I'm going to pull a little bit of power. Hard to look around with this thing. And we should be roughly 45 degrees soon. Dropping a little bit. It's really hard to fly while looking out the right side of the window. And there's the edge of the runway. Let's start a 300 foot per minute descent. Try and actually square up this time. And we're going to wait for roughly 800 above field elevation. And maybe 900. That should put us pretty darn close. And there's 900. Just don't forget we still have that base leg. Our 2-minute, hopefully coordinated turn. Maintaining 80 knots. Just a little more throttle in the turn. A little more turn in the turn. I feel like the altimeter is not quite set. We should have noted field elevation before coming in. Oh? I didn't quite account for a crosswind, but that's not bad. We do have a right to left crosswind. And flaps 1 coming out. Throttle coming out a little bit. A little in. We're going to maintain roughly level and just trying to bring her in smoothly. We might do a short runway landing later. Lining up. My eyeballs told me, hey, we're square, and then I realized that I was actually looking sideways, and the airplane's not going that way. We're getting a little power out, we're a little high. Should be doing about 300 feet a minute. Doing about 5, so we are both fast and high. And coming in, threshold, smoothly pulling the throttle out. Throttle in, and we go around. A little bit of back pressure. Leveling off. Trying to. These flaps are just too good. Flaps up. A little bit of power to be gained, but not much. There is 80 knots and 800 feet per minute. That's kind of nice. I keep forgetting to look at what the altitude is. Pretty sure it's 61. Like 60, 50 or something. 800 feet, beginning our 2-minute turn. We do have a slight right to left. Leveling off. We're at pattern altitude, and that happened quite quickly. Smidgen high, smidgen fast. Okay, a lot high and a lot fast. Bring her down. We're going to maintain 7,100, 80 knots, plus or minus 5 is the standard, and 100 feet up and down. This should keep us roughly the right distance, but it took us longer, so let's actually aim just a little left. Because if we aim where we actually want to go to make a correct turn, the wind's going to push us. Our turn's going to take a little longer. We're going to aim for that little green patch. You're getting close. And not quite, but still close. There we go. Pulling out a little bit. And keep our 80 knots. I'm going to descend at 300 feet a minute. We need just a smidgen, not much, but just a smidgen more time. So let's go with 850. Actually, that was right about the right amount of time. So there's 900. Adding a little bit of power, even though it's not super necessary. Turn a little quick. Straightening out a little bit. Getting our descent going again. And that looks like our runway. Flaps coming out. Keeping the nose down, even though we just gained a huge amount of lift. We're actually going to need more throttle to maintain altitude. Ideally, we're going to be doing about 65 knots and roughly 350 feet a minute down. Hope that that puts us right on the runway. So there's 65, there is 300 feet a minute. Go down just a smidgen. Take 400 for a second. $400. I like that picture. Want a little more throttle out. And here we go. Over the threshold. Power's coming out. Flaring. Holding it up just a little. There we go. And brakes on. Should have let the nose down first. Alright, this next one that we're going to do is going to be short field, which means full flaps. We're going to run up the power. Not all the way, but as much as we can before the tires start slipping. And here we go. Full back on the yoke. Full power. Doing our wheelie, trying to maintain center line. Getting a stall, which means we're close to liftoff. We're off the ground. Stay within 10 feet or half the wing length. Till acceleration. There's 50. We can maintain that. Gear up 1, or flaps up 1. And here's 60. Flaps up 2. And there is 70, flaps up all the way. Starting our climb. 75. So I think if we had an obstacle to clear, which we would probably plan for obstacle clearing, we would have done that a little differently. I think we're going to try that next time. There's our 800. Let's begin our turn. 2-minute turn. Start our leveling off. Make sure the flaps are all the way up. There's our 80 knots, there's our altitude. Let's pull the power back a little. Not shock cool the engine. We're running military circles here. Alright, just to make it easy, we're saying 7100 is our pattern altitude. And we're going to maintain that plus or minus 100, plus or minus 5 knots. And I think the heading you're supposed to maintain plus or minus 5 as well. But we're just going to aim for spots outside the window, so not exactly what we need to do. I'm both high and fast, so I need to pull power for both coming down and slowing down. Be getting close to that midway point. And there's the end of it. We're now going to come down 300 feet a minute. Run our square, and we're going to do our best to do a short field landing. Now, short field landing is slightly different. We're going to land full flaps. We are also going to basically hold the nose off as long as we can and no braking. You can when you get all the way down, but you basically want to aero brake as long as humanly possible. There's our 900. I keep the ball centered, a little better than a 2-minute turn, purely because of what we have to work with. There is a small tailwind behind us. Need a little power. We're descending a little too quick. Directional gyro is not aligned. Oh, that's annoying. We are a little low. We came out a little early. Cool. So, we need a little more lift, so we're going to pump those guys out, gain that altitude back. We're going to hold 65 knots. We're going to start bringing her in. There's roughly the sight picture I'm looking for, so 65 knots, and 350 foot per minute descent. Should bring us in nicely. If I could ever actually get to a 350 foot per minute descent. That would help, eh? It's not a bad sight picture. We're a little high, so I'm going to pull out just a little power. I'm going to descend just a little. Little right, going for center line. And I forgot the rest of the flaps. Too late. Pulling back. We'll do the rest of it though. You want to hold off as long as you can. Keep that nose up, ride the wheelie, aero brake it as long as you can. Getting a little hard at this point. Now you want to gently lower it. We have a little bit of braking authority, so we can do a little braking. I think it's a little wonky when you brake. And we'll pull off over here. The throttle quadrant is very different. It's quite good though. I do like it. I like it quite a lot actually. It's very, very different to run this style throttle quadrant than it is to run the standard twin engine prop. But I like it. It's kind of familiar, easy. Everything is very small movements. You have a good reference for pushing, pulling, etc. So even in turbulence, this would not be incredibly hard to control at all. A little airplane too. Got all the steam gauges, because realistically that's kind of what I'm expecting when I go to get my pilot's license, so that's what I'm going to practice with. The more familiar I am with steam gauges, the easier it will be to handle. And we're not actually on the apron anymore. We're on grass according to the sim. Oh well. Alrighty, let's shut her down and call her a day. No prop, full mixture. That was kind of fun. I like doing the touch and goes. It was fun. Anyways, thank you guys for joining. I hope you had as much fun as I did, because that was kind of exciting. And we will see you guys in the next episode.